Have you ever felt it, that subtle shift in the energy of a room when a certain person speaks to you? On the surface, their words are pleasant, even complimentary, but underneath, there's an invisible current, a cold undertow that pulls at your sense of peace. You walk away from the conversation feeling strangely diminished, a little more tired, a little less bright than you were before. You start to question yourself. Was that a compliment or a criticism? Were they being supportive or were they subtly undermining me? Am I just being too sensitive? Am I imagining things? This feeling, this quiet confusion, is not your imagination. It's a very real perception of an unspoken truth. It is the language of a hidden animosity, a dislike so deeply buried within the other person that they themselves may not even be fully conscious of it. This is a space of profound psychological fog, a gray area in our relationships where we sense something is wrong but lack the language to define it. It's the territory of the frenemy, the passive-aggressive colleague, the family member whose love feels conditional and sharp-edged. Ever wondered why your effort not equal to results in these relationships? You pour in kindness, you offer support, you try to build a bridge, but you are met with an invisible wall, a subtle poison that contaminates your efforts. This experience can be one of the most draining and confusing aspects of human life. It hollows out your confidence and makes you doubt your own intuition, which is your most sacred guidance system. Your anxiety in these situations isn't the problem, it's the language your soul uses to warn you about this profound misalignment. But what if I told you that this fog can be lifted? What if you could learn to see with a new kind of clarity, to understand the hidden dynamics at play, not to become more suspicious, but to become more discerning, more self-protective, and ultimately more free? Today, we are not just going to list a few behavioral tics. We are going on a much deeper journey. We will venture into the inner world of the human psyche, guided by the profound wisdom of Carl Jung, to understand the concept of the shadow. We will learn how another person's unowned, unexamined darkness, their shadow, gets projected onto you. You will learn to recognize the subtle signs of this projection, not as an indictment of your worth, but as an unwitting confession of their own inner turmoil. The promise of this journey together is not to learn how to fight back, but to learn how to stand so firmly in your own light that their shadows can no longer touch you. You will leave this space with your intuition validated, your spirit fortified, and your ability to navigate your relationships transformed. Let's begin with a foundational insight, our first win in reclaiming our clarity. It's a concept that, once understood, will change the way you interpret negative interactions forever. This is the psychological mechanism known as projection. Carl Jung taught that the human psyche is composed of both the conscious mind, what we know about ourselves, and the unconscious mind, a vast reservoir of everything we don't know, have forgotten, or have repressed. Within this unconscious realm lives what he called the shadow. The shadow is the container for all the aspects of ourselves that we deem unacceptable, weak, or shameful. It's not necessarily evil. It can contain our repressed creativity, our unexpressed anger, our hidden vulnerabilities, our latent talents. Because we refuse to look at these traits within ourselves, we have an unconscious compulsion to see them in other people. We project our shadow onto them. Here's a simple example to make this crystal clear. Imagine a person who was taught from a young age that being assertive and speaking up for oneself is rude or arrogant. They repress their own assertive nature, pushing it down into their shadow. Now, as an adult, they work with you. You, being comfortable with your own voice, speak up in a meeting to share a good idea. Later, this person comes to you and says, with a tone of feigned concern, "You were a little aggressive in there, don't you think?" You might rub people the wrong way. What is happening here? Are you truly aggressive, or are they projecting their own disowned assertiveness onto you? They see your confidence, and it triggers the part of themselves they were taught to hate. So they label your strength with the negative term their own psyche has assigned to it, aggressive. They didn't hurt you because you're weak. They hurt you because your light exposed their shadow. This is our first win. The understanding that so much of the criticism and negativity we receive is not a reflection of who we are, but a confession of who the other person is afraid to be. It's a map of their own inner exile. From this moment forward, when you feel the sting of an unfair judgment, take a breath and ask yourself, what part of their own unlived life are they seeing in me? This simple question is the beginning of true emotional freedom. Now that we have this foundational tool of projection, let's deepen the value of our understanding. We need to become fluent in the specific dialects that the projected shadow speaks. These are the subtle, often confusing signs that someone is harboring a secret animosity or envy towards you. This is not about becoming a detective in your relationships, but about honoring your own feelings and learning to decode the signals that have been setting off your inner alarms all along. We are moving beyond the obvious signs of dislike, overt insults, open hostility, and into the murky, passive-aggressive territory where the real psychological damage is done. The first and perhaps most common sign is what we can call the compliment that steals. It sounds like praise, but it feels like a theft of your joy. This is the art of the backhanded compliment, and it is a masterpiece of passive aggression. It's a sentence structured with a positive statement at the beginning and a subtle, venomous qualification at the end. For example, after you complete a major project successfully, they might say, "Congratulations on the presentation. I was so surprised you managed to pull that off with everything else you have going on." On the surface, it's a congratulations, but the energetic payload is in the second half. "I was so surprised." This implies they had low expectations of you. It suggests your success is an anomaly, a fluke, not a result of your competence. It plants a seed of doubt, or perhaps you buy a new outfit that you love and they say, "That's a beautiful dress. It's amazing how you can wear such bold colors." "I could never be that brave." Again, it starts with beautiful dress, but the message is that you are an object of curiosity, perhaps a little outlandish or desperate for attention, unlike their more tasteful and reserved self. Let's dissect the Jungian mechanics of this. The person delivering the compliment that steals is often struggling with a profound sense of envy or inadequacy, which resides in their shadow. They see your success, your joy, your confidence, and it shines a harsh light on what they feel is lacking in their own life. A direct, genuine compliment would require them to simply acknowledge your light, but their ego, their conscious persona, cannot handle that. It would feel like admitting their own less-than status. So the shadow intervenes. It crafts a statement that allows them to perform the social ritual of a compliment while simultaneously injecting a small dose of poison to diminish your achievement, and by extension, make them feel better about themselves. They are trying to level the playing field not by raising themselves up, but by subtly pulling you down. When you receive a compliment that makes you feel confused or deflated instead of happy, trust that feeling. It's your psyche accurately perceiving the emotional truth beneath the words. The correct response is not to confront them or get defensive. The most powerful response is a simple, neutral thank you, delivered with a calm confidence that communicates that their hook found no place to land in you. You refuse to let them steal your joy. You simply let the poison part of their sentence fall to the floor unacknowledged. The second subtle sign is the selective deafness to your good news. Have you ever been excited to share something wonderful, a promotion, a new relationship, a personal breakthrough, with someone you thought was a friend, only to have them completely ignore it or change the subject? You say, "I'm so thrilled, I finally got accepted into that program I've been working towards for years." And their response after a brief blank pause is, "Oh, that's nice. Did you see what happened on the news today?" Or worse, they immediately pivot to a story about themselves. "That's great. Speaking of achievements, my cousin's son just won a spelling bee." The emotional whiplash is staggering. You were vulnerable, open, and sharing a piece of your soul's victory, and you were met with a closed door. This is not a simple case of being distracted or having poor social skills, though it can be masked as such. In the context of a consistent pattern, this is a form of passive erasure. From a Jungian perspective, your success is a mirror they cannot bear to look into. Your light, your growth, your joy is so threatening to their own stagnant or wounded ego that their unconscious mind literally cannot register it. It's a psychological defense mechanism. To acknowledge your good news would be to acknowledge their own perceived failures or frustrations. Their shadow, filled with feelings of being stuck or not good enough, cannot tolerate the cognitive dissonance, so it deploys selective deafness. It pretends the information was never received. This is incredibly painful because it's a form of invalidation. It communicates to you on a deep, unspoken level, your joy is not important, your achievements do not matter. The self-protection here is crucial. Stop sharing your sacred victories with people who have proven themselves to be deaf to them. Celebrate with those who can celebrate with you. Share your pearls with those who recognize their value, not with those who will trample them underfoot. You are not obligated to keep offering your light to a black hole. Let's move to a third, more insidious sign, the weaponized concern. This is one of the most manipulative tactics because it masquerades as care and friendship. It often begins with the phrase, "I'm only telling you this because I care about you," or "I'm just worried about you." What follows is not genuine concern, but a targeted criticism designed to erode your confidence and install self-doubt. For example, "I'm just worried that your new business venture is a bit risky. Have you really thought it through?" "I would just hate to see you fail." Or, "I love how passionate you are about your new relationship, but I'm just concerned he might be a little too intense for you. I just want to protect your heart." Notice the structure. It's a criticism wrapped in the language of protection. The person is not offering helpful advice or asking curious questions. They are projecting their own fear, their fear of risk, their fear of failure, their fear of intimacy onto your life choices. Their shadow, which is terrified of taking a leap, sees you on the diving board and instead of cheering you on, tries to convince you that the water is full of sharks. They feel a sense of moral superiority in this act. They get to tell themselves, "I am a good friend, I am looking out for them." But the true unconscious motivation is to keep you small and safe, because your expansion threatens their own comfortable, self-imposed cage. They didn't hurt you because you're weak, they hurt you because your courage exposed their fear. When you encounter weaponized concern, recognize it for what it is, fear disguised as love. A powerful response is to calmly reclaim your agency. You can say, "I appreciate your concern, but I feel very confident in my decision. I've got this." This communicates that you are the authority in your own life. You are the captain of your own ship, and you will not be swayed by the fears of those who are content to stay on the shore. The fourth sign is the public humiliation disguised as a joke. This often happens in group settings. You're with friends or colleagues, and this person shares an embarrassing story about you or makes a joke at your expense that has a sharp, cutting edge to it. When they see the flash of hurt on your face, they quickly say, "Oh, I was just kidding. Can't you take a joke?" This maneuver is a form of psychological gaslighting. It has two parts. First, the public jab, which is designed to lower your social status and elevate theirs. By making you the butt of the joke, they momentarily position themselves as the witty, dominant one in the group. The second part, the "just kidding" defense, is the gaslighting. It denies your valid emotional response. It tells you that your feeling of being hurt is wrong, that you are the one with the problem, you are too sensitive. Let's look at this through our Jungian lens. This person is often grappling with a deep-seated insecurity, a shadow belief that they are invisible or unimportant. To compensate for this feeling, they develop a persona that needs to be the center of attention. Your embarrassment becomes the fuel for their fragile ego. They are, in a sense, feeding off your social discomfort to feel more secure. They can't generate their own light, so they try to dim yours in front of an audience. This is a clear sign of a hidden animosity, because true friends, people who genuinely care for you, do not use your vulnerabilities as public entertainment. They protect your dignity both in private and in public. The way to handle this is not to laugh along and pretend it didn't hurt. That only teaches them that their behavior is acceptable. You don't have to cause a scene, but you can hold your ground. You can simply not laugh. You can hold their gaze for a moment with a neutral expression. Or you can say calmly and without aggression, "That's not something I find funny." You are not attacking them, you are simply stating your boundary. You are refusing to co-sign the narrative that your feelings are a joke. A fifth and deeply felt sign is the energetic drain. This one is less about specific words and more about a holistic feeling. You may have a perfectly pleasant surface-level conversation with this person with no overt signs of negativity. And yet you walk away feeling exhausted, depleted, as if you've just run a marathon. You feel a need to be alone to recharge your batteries. This is not a mystical or woo-woo concept. It has a solid psychological basis. Interacting with someone who harbors a secret dislike for you requires a massive amount of your unconscious energy. Your psyche is on high alert. It's constantly scanning, decoding, and navigating the dissonance between their words, their persona, and their true feelings, their shadow. You are subconsciously bracing for the next backhanded compliment, the next subtle jab, the next act of erasure. This constant, low-level vigilance is incredibly taxing on your nervous system. You are essentially holding up an energetic shield for the entire duration of the interaction. Carl Jung might say that your unconscious is in a state of high tension, trying to manage the threat posed by the other person's projected shadow. It's like trying to have a relaxed conversation with someone who is pointing a laser pen at your forehead. Even though it's just a tiny red dot, your entire system is aware of the potential for something to go wrong. Pay attention to your body. Your body does not lie. If you consistently feel drained, heavy, or agitated after being with a certain person, your body is giving you vital information. It's telling you that this connection is costing you more energy than it provides. It's a sign that this is not a safe or nourishing relationship for your spirit. The solution here is not confrontation, but conservation. Conserve your precious energy. Limit your exposure to this person. Keep your interactions brief, polite, and superficial. You do not owe anyone deep access to your inner world, especially if their presence is a drain on your life force. The sixth sign, which serves as a powerful tool for discernment, is listening to how they talk about others. The way a person speaks about people who are not in the room is a direct window into their own shadow and a preview of how they likely speak about you when you are not there. If they are constantly gossiping, judging, and criticizing others, it reveals a mind that is preoccupied with finding fault. This is often a projection of their own deep self-criticism. They cannot stand the imperfections and flaws within themselves, so they become hyper-focused on the perceived flaws of everyone around them. Their ego gets a temporary boost from feeling superior. Pay close attention. When they tell you a critical story about a mutual acquaintance, listen to the theme. If they are constantly calling other people lazy, it may be because they are terrified of their own unacknowledged desire for rest and are trapped in a cycle of compulsive productivity. If they are constantly accusing others of being attention-seeking, it is almost certainly because their own shadow craves recognition and validation, but they deem that need as shameful. The things they judge in others are the very things they have exiled from their own consciousness. So when they are gossiping with you, they are not just talking about someone else. They are giving you a guided tour of their own shadow. And you can be certain that when you are the one who is not in the room, they are using the same judgmental lens to talk about you. This understanding is not for you to then go and confront them. It's for your own wisdom. It helps you to not take their eventual criticism of you personally. You already know where it's coming from. It's not about you. It's their own inner movie, and they are just trying to cast you as a villain in it. To deepen our journey, we must now move from simply recognizing the signs to understanding the foundational archetypes at play. Carl Jung's work is rich with the concept of archetypes, universal, primal patterns and images that derive from the collective unconscious. When someone harbors a secret animosity, they are often unconsciously casting you in a specific archetypal role that serves their psychic needs. For example, if they are struggling with their own unlived potential, they might cast you in the role of the golden child or the hero. Every success you have then becomes, in their inner drama, a personal affront, a reminder of what they have not achieved. Their subtle attacks are an attempt to slay the hero, to tarnish the golden child, so they can feel more comfortable in their own narrative. Conversely, they might project the archetype of the scapegoat onto you. The scapegoat is the one who is burdened with all the sins and failings of the community, or in this case, of the individual psyche. If they have made a mistake at work, they might subtly hint that you were somehow responsible. If they are feeling insecure in their relationship, they might find a way to blame you for some imagined slight. By making you the scapegoat, they can psychically unburden themselves of their own guilt and shame. They remain pure while you carry their darkness. Are you truly tired of life, or just tired of betraying your soul daily by accepting these projected roles? Recognizing this dynamic is profoundly liberating. You realize you are not the character they are trying to make you. You are just a screen onto which they are projecting their inner movie. You can, with conscious intent, refuse the role. You can say to yourself, I am not your scapegoat. I am not your rival. I am not responsible for your unlived life. I release myself from your story. This inner declaration is an act of immense power. Let's build upon this authority we are cultivating. The wisdom of Jungian psychology is not a collection of interesting theories. It is a practical path to what Jung called individuation. Individuation is the process of becoming your true whole self. It means withdrawing your own projections from others and becoming immune to the projections of others. It means integrating your own shadow, so you are not compelled to fight it in the external world. When you do your own inner work, when you look at your own envy, your own anger, your own insecurities with compassion and curiosity, you become less of a target for the projections of others. Why? Because you are no longer a blank screen. Your consciousness is so filled with your own self-awareness that there is no room for their story to stick. This is why this journey is ultimately not about them, but about you. It's about your own transformation. Every frenemy, every manipulator, every person who has tried to diminish you has been an unwitting teacher, a messenger from the unconscious. They have come to show you where you are still vulnerable, where you still seek validation from the outside, where you have not yet claimed your own sovereign power. They didn't hurt you because you're weak. They were drawn to you because your light was a threat to their shadow, and the universe sent them to teach you how to build a stronger lantern. The pain they cause is a sacred signal, calling you to turn your attention inward, to heal the parts of you that believe they're subtle poisons. The ultimate self-protection is not building higher walls, but cultivating a deeper inner garden, a soul so rooted in its own worth that the winds of others' opinions cannot shake it. Now let's take a moment to pause and integrate what we have been exploring. This is our interactive moment. I want you to bring to mind a person or a situation, past or present, where you have felt that confusing sense of being disliked despite pleasantries. Just hold that feeling, that memory, gently in your awareness. We have discussed several signs: the compliment that steals, the selective deafness, the weaponized concern, the public joke, the energetic drain, and listening to how they talk about others. Without any need to share the details, I want you to reflect for a moment. Which of these signs resonates most powerfully with your experience? Just identify it for yourself. Now, if you feel comfortable, I invite you to share just the name of the sign in the comments below. Perhaps it's weaponized concern or energetic drain. You don't have to tell the story. The act of naming it, of giving a label to that confusing fog, is an act of power. It's the first step in moving from being a victim of the dynamic to being an observer of it. By sharing, you not only empower yourself, but you also create a space of validation for others in this community who will read your comment and realize they are not alone in their experience. This is how we collectively begin to dissipate the fog. As you do this, also consider what we've learned so far. We began by understanding that the confusion we feel is real. We gained our first win by learning about projection, that criticism is often a confession. We've deepened our value by learning the specific signs of hidden animosity. And now, moving forward, we will focus on the most important part, the transformation this knowledge makes possible in your life. Let's continue to deepen this value by exploring the practical steps of self-healing and boundary setting that this new clarity allows. Once you can see the dynamic of the projected shadow for what it is, you are no longer a pawn in the game. You are now a conscious player, and you can choose your moves with wisdom and self-respect. The first step is what we can call radical acceptance. This does not mean condoning their behavior. It means accepting the reality that this person, for whatever reason rooted in their own history and psychology, is not capable of being a source of genuine support or kindness for you at this time. It means letting go of the hope that they will change. You must stop going to the hardware store for bread. You are hurting yourself by repeatedly seeking validation, warmth, or approval from someone whose well is dry. This acceptance is a form of grief. You are grieving the friendship or relationship you wished you could have had with this person. Allow yourself to feel that sadness. It's real, but on the other side of that grief is freedom. Freedom from expectation, freedom from disappointment. The second step is the art of the energetic boundary. This is often more powerful than a verbal confrontation. It means making a conscious decision about how much access this person has to you, to your time, your thoughts, and your emotional energy. This might mean you stop initiating contact. You respond politely but briefly to their messages. You choose to sit at the other end of the table at a group dinner. You keep your conversations focused on neutral, superficial topics. You create space. This is not about being rude or punitive. It is a sacred act of self-preservation. You are treating your own energy as the precious, finite resource that it is. What if the love you crave begins with the boundaries you've been too scared to set? A boundary is not a wall to keep others out. It is a fence to protect the garden of your own inner peace. It says, I love and respect myself enough to not allow negativity to take root here. The third step is to fill the void with genuine connection. Often, we cling to these toxic or draining relationships because we fear being alone. We would rather have a frenemy than no friend at all. But this is a scarcity mindset. The universe abhors a vacuum. When you have the courage to release a connection that is not serving you, you create an open space in your life. It is in this open space that new, healthier, more aligned relationships can enter. Begin to actively invest your energy in the people who do celebrate your successes, who listen to your sorrows, who make you feel more energized, not less. Nurture the connections where you feel seen, heard, and valued for who you truly are. One true, soul-nourishing friendship is worth more than 100 superficial, draining acquaintances. Your task is not to fix the people who try to dim your light, but to find the people who speak the same language as your soul. Now let's seal our credibility by returning to the heart of Jung's teachings. Jung believed that the goal of life was not to achieve a state of perfect, conflict-free happiness. The goal was to become whole. Wholeness means integrating all parts of yourself, the light and the dark, the strong and the vulnerable. The people who project their shadow onto you are your greatest teachers in this process of integration. They show you through their behavior the very things you may have disowned in yourself. Perhaps their backhanded compliments about your success trigger your own deep-seated fear that you are an imposter, a fraud. Their criticism becomes an invitation to heal your own imposter syndrome. Perhaps their weaponized concern about your risky choices highlights your own fear of failure. Their projection is a call to befriend your own relationship with risk and to redefine what failure means to you. Seen this way, these difficult people are not curses, they are catalysts. They are sandpaper for the soul, sent to smooth your rough edges and reveal the beautiful grain of your true self underneath. This is a profound reframe. It moves you from a position of victimhood, why is this happening to me, to a position of soulful curiosity, what is this here to teach me? This is the essence of spiritual and psychological maturity. It's the understanding that the entire universe, even in its most challenging and painful manifestations, is conspiring to help you become whole. Here at Celestial Mindwaves, this is our core philosophy. Every challenge is a doorway to a deeper part of yourself. Every person who hurts you is an opportunity to heal a part of you that was already wounded. Let's summarize our journey and project the benefits of this wisdom into your future. We began by acknowledging the confusing and painful experience of dealing with people who secretly dislike us. We established that this feeling is a valid perception, not a figment of our imagination. We then armed ourselves with the Jungian concept of projection, understanding that negativity directed at us is often a confession of the other person's own inner state. We delved deep into the specific signs, the compliment that steals, the selective deafness, the weaponized concern, and more, learning to decode the language of the projected shadow. We've seen how this is not just about them, but about the archetypal roles they try to cast us in and our power to refuse those roles. The benefit of this knowledge is not paranoia, but peace. Imagine moving through your life with this new lens. You no longer internalize the subtle jabs and backhanded compliments. You see them for what they are, reflections of another's inner world, having nothing to do with your intrinsic worth. Imagine the energy you will reclaim when you stop trying to win over the unwinnable, when you stop over-explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Imagine the confidence that will bloom when you trust your own intuition, your own body's signals, telling you who is safe and who is not. This is not just relationship advice. This is a blueprint for self-reclamation. You are taking back the power you have unknowingly given away to others to define your reality and your worth. The ultimate benefit is a quiet, unshakable sense of self, a celestial mindwave of peace that emanates from within. As we draw to a close, let's bring this transformation into our hearts. This journey has been about waking up to a hidden reality. It is a form of transformation, a way to change your life not by changing others, but by changing your perception. The love you're searching for, the acceptance you crave, begins with the radical act of protecting your own spirit from that which seeks to diminish it. Your sensitivity is not a liability, it is your superpower. It is the finely tuned instrument that allows you to perceive these subtle energies. Do not let the world dull it. Instead, learn to trust it, to honor it, and to use it as your guide. If this journey has resonated with you, if it has illuminated a confusing corner of your life, I invite you to become a part of this community. Subscribe to Celestial Mindwaves and join a gathering of fellow travelers who are committed to exploring these deep waters of the psyche together. Click the like button to let me know that this message landed with you, as it helps our community grow and reach others who may need to hear this. We are creating a space for self-healing, emotional intelligence, and profound personal transformation. And now, to spark the next step in your journey, I want you to leave a comment below answering this question for yourself. What is one small, concrete boundary you will set this week to honor your own peace? It could be as simple as not answering a text immediately or deciding not to share your good news with a specific person. By writing it down, you make a promise to yourself. You take this knowledge and you turn it into action. In our next journey together, we will explore the radiant opposite of this topic. The subtle, powerful, and often silent signs that someone's soul genuinely sees, respects, and loves you. Recognizing this is just as crucial for a life of joy and connection, and it is a truth you absolutely deserve to experience and trust. Walk away from our time together today not with a heavier heart full of suspicion, but with a lighter spirit full of discernment. Walk away not with bitterness, but with a profound and gentle compassion, first and foremost, for your own beautiful, sensitive, and powerful soul. Your peace was never theirs to take, and now you have the tools to ensure it is always yours to keep.